So we're the Mascarillas. We made the NLP therapy chatbot, your online mental health solution. 20% of people suffer from mental issues at any time. 10% of those people who suffer commit suicide. The average cost of therapy in the United States is $100, and 76% of people believe therapy is beneficial for mental health.
There are many problems with traditional therapy, which is that they can be like societally shameful, it can be expensive, time consuming, and it can be inaccessible for a lot of people. And so we made the NLP therapy chatbot as a solution to these problems. Our bot has fast responses with our AI model. It's very accessible as you can just get to it from any device in your home. It's free of cost completely, and since there's no human interaction required, it can be a lot more comfortable for people to access. And then here's just a little overview of our pipeline. We started with data collection, gathering data sets from places like GitHub and different mental health forums. And afterwards, we processed that data to remove a lot of the noise and unnecessary information. And then we trained our original GPT-2 model. However, we found it wasn't as good as we wanted, and so we reprocessed the data and cleaned it further, and then retrained a new GPT-3 model for better results. And then we made this website as a way to host the model.
Going more into the data side of things, this was definitely the biggest part of our project, as therapy is inherently a sensitive topic, so finding large, good quality data sets was a large issue. So we did find one data set, which was on GitHub from the website counselchat.com, which did have a few issues, but was mostly fixable using regex. So that only had around 2,000 entries, plus 3,000 in a separate file. So we decided to supplement that with web scraping from a website called mentalhealthforum.net, which is an open forum for people getting mental help. This had a lot more problems, as user input data is inherently a lot more messy than from a professional website. So we had to scrape a bunch of different HTML things, fix a bunch of formatting that was caused by errors in the web scraping process, and then make sure that we removed any of the data that was too short, as anything under 200 characters would probably not make good training data. From there, all we had to do was combine the two data sets together, and we were ready to train our model.
So you might be wondering how we trained our model, but before we go into that, we should talk about what is GPT-3. GPT-3 is a neural network that is made by OpenAI that is able to take in human language and interpret the sentences. So you might be wondering, why are we using GPT-3 instead of other models? GPT-3 is a cutting-edge artificial intelligence model, and some of the upsides and downsides are that it has long training times, but at the end, your output is really good, as you'll see later on. There are other options such as BERT. BERT is mostly used as a sentiment analysis model instead of giving a good response. So you might seem like, oh, it's good to understand the person, but at the same time, the response is more important than understanding the person themselves. And finally, it's how we trained it. After getting all the clean data from GitHub, Council Chat, and Mental Health Forum, we trained our GPT-3 model from multiple tries and slowly refined the connections between the neurons in the neural network.
And now the conclusion. So for significance, therapy can be pretty hard to access for lots and lots of people. And so that is why we came up with the idea to create the NLP therapy chatbot. So it can be accessed by anyone, anywhere. And so it's free and reliable, and our chatbot will try to comfort like anyone who might need it. And as I said before, our chatbot is accessible anywhere. And our chatbot rids the user of any like social burdens, like people necessarily like making fun of you for needing therapy or anything like that. And for technology, for the creation of our chatbot, we combined lots of different technologies to achieve success and where we're at right now with our model. And so we used OpenAI, Pandas, regex, and Flask. For performance, our model, I feel like, performs fairly well, and it outputs pretty thoughtful and complete responses. And it could be sort of compared to like a human-like interaction. References. So for our web template, we got our theme and things from Bootstrap. It was free, and you're able to find a lot of different cool website designs there. And for our AI model, we used OpenAI, which is the basis for our chatbot. For data sets, and we used Kaggle, which is like an online community platform. And finally, our team. So for our AI Camp team leader, we have Jonathan. And for the AI Camp students, we have Ethan, Arsalan, Caleb, Advaith, and Rowan.
Now that you've learned about our model, it's time to try it out. So the user can input any mental health question. Let's simulate someone who has depression. I just hate my life. I can't bear it anymore. Every waking moment is just too much. I just want to die. And the model will... It is possible by repeating, I can't bear it anymore. In essence, you are repeating yourself. I think it's saying that that by saying I can't bear it anymore, it's making them worse. When a person interjects self-notice, so they're telling them to change their thoughts and help them. I don't want to read it all because it's long, but
So
and then to help their sleep. Oh, sure.
So I have a question. So it seems like you're interpreting the response. Is this just is this something that eventually, if you had more time, something that would be kind of a refined? Because right now you're interpreting as opposed to someone just reading it.
Oh, it's like really long, so I don't want to read it all, but if you want to read it, I guess.
Okay, because if I'm reading it,
sometimes they do make sense, sometimes they don't. It was
Okay.
scraped from a public forum.
I see.
So, forums.
So Richard, I would like to explain and stand for my students. So I think the main issue is that there's not much data like online, and they spend the weekend perform the web scraping on the forum. So, but the reason is that the data on the forum is like it's like a chatting formatting. So it's it's really different from our end, and it's really hard for scrutinize every entry and to perform the scraping by manually perform the scraping by each entry.
No, definitely.
They really did. Yeah.
Definitely, this would take a lot of effort, and yeah, it's not easy. That's why, like, I wrote in the chat, like, this is not easy. I'm just thinking, you have this, like, say you have another 3 weeks to do stuff. Obviously, you need more data, more good data to be able to refine this. But some food for thought is that if you want to take this to a next level for your responses to be better, you might want to apply something that can interpret this and maybe filter and refine it later. But I'm just thinking, my question fundamentally was, what would you want to do to improve it, basically?
Okay, sure. So maybe Arsalan, you can try a more simple prompt. Just I think yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So sometimes the model is really good, sometimes it's not so good. So if we just cut out a sentence or two.
Yeah, with this, it's a very widespread of quality, which I think is a result of our data. For example, we've run the same prompt several times, and so far the best output that we've gotten from it was giving several different suicide prevention hotline phone numbers.
So for example, I think this one is a lot better. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. Depression is a terrible, bad thing. I sure don't have depression myself, but from what you have stated, it sounds like it can affect anyone when you're feeling that way. The only person I know how to be depressed myself was my sister. Her only solace lies in the endeavors she makes in life. if you can't find it, searching for it in something else can give you the opportunity to improve. So like telling them to make endeavors in life. While on that road, I wish you can find something else to love in life, then continuing that. And please don't give up entirely on finding something else that can make you feel better.
Yeah, like
So-
sometimes the output is not as good as the other one. This one's a lot better than the other one, obviously. It's like if it's something if we had more training on, it would obviously get better over time. And if we can search for more data sets and web scrape more websites, it would over time get a lot better.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Cool.
Any questions? Like, yeah.
Well, I just want to make a statement is that now you see how hard it is to get something very good. And it's simply just, it's just one is your data, two is like how refined can you get that data? And obviously your biggest challenge is getting that data, especially when it comes to mental health or medical. There's a lot of privacy involved with patient client or patient doctor confidentiality. So yeah, it is definitely not an easy problem to solve, but you guys like kept at it. That is awesome. Also is not to say, hey, this is the end of it, but is to think about how can this ever improve in the future? This is a problem that a lot of AI people, when they're building chatbots, face, depending on how you want to refine the responses. And that's why it's like, how can AI replace people eventually? Not physically, but just the way that they respond, like you interact with some chat tools. It's like, okay, it's pretty good. And then all of a sudden it has a bonk, meaning like they don't answer it correctly. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it does take time to refine. It does take a lot of data. It is a lot of work. So kudos to you guys for just trying to take this challenge on. It is not an easy problem.
I think that's one of the most interesting parts of our model, since you can see like even in this answer, because we scraped the data from the form, it's talking like, it has its own family. So it's really interesting to see an AI output things that you'd see from a human, but also might not be pertinent to the answer.
Yeah, and when you guys chose your data set, did you have diverse data set? Like when you're dealing with mental health, there are so many areas, like one can have mental issues because of money, love life, or relationship, anything. Like, did you guys had diverse data on that?
It was kind of like a general form for that section was for depression. So
Okay.
Well, we've got off a mental form, and the mental form can range from like anything. So if
Yeah.
someone can just ask a question like, why is my husband cheating on me or something? And based off that, it's surrounding around that. And if you ask that into the model, it might give something that surrounds that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice one, guys. Awesome work.
One really interesting thing I'd like to point out is one time I was looking through one of our earlier models, and I saw in one of its outputs that it outputted some sort of URL about anxiety. So then I thought that it might have been overfitting. So I looked through all the trading data and I found the URL, but it reworded it. It understood what the link meant. It wasn't overfitting.
Mm-hmm. Anyone has any other questions? Anything you want to add on?
Yeah, I want to thank you for every member in my team. So you guys did amazing jobs. Thank you all for the past 3 weeks. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you too.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And good luck for the rest of the teams for the presentation.